She's an outgoing introvert who built a multi-seven-figure business by doing the one thing that terrified her most: showing up on camera. Alex Cattoni is the founder of the Posse, with over 400,000 YouTube subscribers and a controversial mission to de-douchify the internet.
There were a lot of people teaching it in a way that was sort of douchey. I just honestly, the driving force was like, I have a lot to say about this, and what's a good platform for sharing your voice and sharing your truth and sharing your strategy and opinions? I'm like, YouTube sounds good.
It took her 6 months to reach 1,000 subscribers. The marketing bros laughed at her when she wanted to start her YouTube channel. She's now one of the most influential people in her space, and her first videos were, in her words, terrible. But she made nearly 6 figures in her first launch thanks to YouTube.
Once I realized the gold mine I was sitting on with the demand in the copywriting niche, I was like, this is it. I'm going all in on this.
In this conversation, we break down her exact monetization funnel, how she was able to leverage her YouTube channel to build a multi-seven-figure business, and an interesting conversation about AI you don't want to miss. If you're ready to stop playing it safe and start making real money from your YouTube content, this interview is for you. I'm Erika Vieira, and this is a YouTube Power Hour podcast. If you want to learn more about me and how I help female business owners, entrepreneurs, and creatives grow a business using YouTube, my links are in the description below. Now for my conversation with Alex. Ladies, class is in session. I'm so excited to dive in with you about your business and your YouTube channel. So for people that aren't familiar with you, can you share with everybody a little bit about who you are and your business and how YouTube plays a part in your overall business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, YouTube plays a huge part in my business, as you know. I am Alex Cattoni, as you said. I'm the founder of a company called the Posse, where I help rad humans on the internet make more money with better messaging. So strong focus on teaching messaging, marketing, and copywriting to both freelancers and service providers, as well as business owners and course creators. I was a freelance copywriter and marketer for about 10 years, working behind the scenes as a fractional CMO, consultant, copywriter. Back after I quit my job and started my business in 2011, and did that exclusively for about 10 years. And so I have a sort of long history with marketing, but never had a personal brand to speak of. So I think I had like my Facebook account, an Instagram account that I had friends on. And it was in 2019, after I had been running marketing campaigns sort of anonymously on the internet for big name personal development brands, that I decided to start my YouTube channel. And I had not a huge strategy. We can talk more about that. It really felt sort of like a calling. I had a lot to say about marketing. I wanted to talk about it, especially being a woman in a very male-dominated industry, which I know a lot of women can relate to. I started my YouTube channel in 2019, and that was really the start of this whole journey that I had no idea I would be on. I started in 2019, and then the Posse was born, where all of a sudden now I was teaching, and I had a platform for teaching people to basically to do what I had done for the last 10 years.
So what was going on at 2019 that made you think like, oh, I got to get onto YouTube. I got to do long form video content?
I wish, I feel like in my mind, long form video content, like I said, it wasn't a strategy. I felt, to be honest, and I talk about this very publicly, I felt very jaded by the marketing world. I had been sort of the quote unquote marketing secret weapon behind a lot of these large businesses for a long time. And it always shocked me that so many of the people who were teaching marketing and copywriting online were men, yet so many of the people I knew doing it behind the scenes were women. And I had a lot to say. I also felt extremely jaded by the marketing industry and how it was getting a bad rap. I distinctly remember being at a party and someone asked me what I did, and I was explaining to them that I did marketing, and that included like email marketing, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember him saying to me, oh, so you're the one that sends spam emails. And I was like, ah. And I feel like I was noticing this shift happening where I got into the online marketing world back in 2008. And back then, online marketing was so new, and it was not sort of known by the general masses. And then this was at a point in time where I really felt like everyone was really starting to understand the power of online marketing, but it was also getting a bad rap because there were a lot of people teaching it in a way that was sort of douchey. And so I just honestly, the driving force was like, I have a lot to say about this, and what's a good platform for sharing your voice and sharing your truth and sharing your strategy and opinions. I'm like, YouTube sounds good. And I don't know what it was about the platform. It just was like, I feel like that's where I need to be. And I just listened to the nudges.
So it wasn't even about expanding your business or growing kind of your
Yeah.
income.
Isn't that funny? I know. Because I'm very strategic about almost everything I do. I will say initially, I kind of thought to myself, well, it would be kind of cool if I got some like bigger name clients. Maybe I'll take on more clients because at that point I was starting to build out a bit of an agency because I was saying no to far more business than I was saying yes to. And I had a very small team that was supporting me. And I thought, maybe I'll get some bigger name clients. What I did not expect was how fast things would take off and how I would attract a whole audience of people who wanted to learn how to start their own business through copywriting and learning copywriting. And so that just took like a hard laugh where I was like, oh, wait, I'm not talking to seven-figure business owners here. I'm talking to everyone. And that was a big sort of shift for me. And that then led my strategy to where it is now.
And I want to come back to that, but going back to when you started on YouTube, what did that look like for you? What did those first few, 5, 10 videos look like?
Yeah. I mean, cringy. I'm sure everyone says that.
Mhm.
Um, The first few videos, well, first of all, I remember like I said I was going to start my YouTube channel and I didn't think I had been saying that I was going to do it for that long. But then one day I was at a friend's house and I was like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And he says to me, when are you going to stop talking about it and actually do it? And I realized
Oh,
I'd been talking about it for about a year before I ever did it. And you know how we make up every excuse in the world to not get started? For me, it was that I didn't have the perfect backdrop, because I was looking at all these YouTubers on YouTube thinking, oh my God, they look so professional and the lighting game and all of this. And I was finally like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I went to the bookstore down the street and bought some motivational quotes and I framed those bad boys and I put them up on the wall. I'm like, okay, now I can do it. And I think I planned my first 6 videos in advance. Yeah, you can see those motivational quotes.
right here.
That one is like old. Like I kept that up to truly show people how bad it was.
Okay.
I call that like before I even started my channel. That was like a random video. Go to the next one.
Let me see. Oldest.
Oldest, yeah, like that
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is
Okay.
kind of like, yeah, look at those motivational
Yes.
quotes. I was like,
Yes.
this is it.
Yes. Yes. You got it there. I love it. Okay.
Yeah. So that was when I kind of officially really went for it. And
Mm-hmm.
these first 6 videos I planned in advance. And how did I do it? I did not script them word for word in this particular season. And that only lasted about 6 videos because I realized that in my mind, I thought I was going to be so charismatic and like go off the cuff. And I realized like that just wasn't my strong suit. And I had notes on my lap and
Mm-hmm.
I would like talk to the camera and then
Yep.
I would look down and be like, okay, what am I trying to say? And then I would look back up and I would say something and it just took me so long. So, those first 6 videos were sort of batch number 1, and then
Mm-hmm.
I started scripting word for
Around
word
there.
and using a teleprompter after that.
Got it. Okay. So interesting. So when you launched your YouTube channel, since you were, you know, queen of marketing and email and all that, did you leverage an existing audience to help push those videos out and email lists? Or were you
No.
just saying, like, let me just throw it on YouTube and see what happens?
I had no existing audience, and that's the wild
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
I was
You're like
working.
literally the best kept secret with all the marketing
Yeah, I
tools.
mean, I actually had no audience, so I was truly working behind the scenes, in other people's businesses, managing other people's email lists and other people's social media. I had nothing except a couple thousand friends on Facebook. That's it.
Mm. Okay. So then when we saw those videos there, I mean, now, 7 years later, they have a decent amount of views. But at what point in being on YouTube did you say, huh, I can do something with this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually getting some traction here.
So I joke, I talk about something called the friends and family effect. So that first video, the ones where I'm talking about the books, the
Mhm.
one where I'm talking about the books, I got like 200 views like immediately because I shared it on Facebook and everyone was so proud of me and they were all commenting. And I remember feeling like high on life. I was like, everyone loves me. This is going to be amazing. And I think I got like, oh, I don't know, a couple hundred subscribers right away. And of course, in my mind, I'm like extrapolating that out and I'm thinking, okay, if I get 200 subscribers every video and I'm going to be at, this level by this time. Well, girl, it took me 6 freaking months to reach 1,000 subscribers. So
Mhm.
after the friends and family effect, like those first 200 subs were just all basically friends.
Yeah.
And then the excitement wore off and it was like talking into an empty room, it felt like for months. But I really enjoyed the experience of it. I mean, this was my first time putting myself out there. So really, it didn't take much for me to feel encouraged. Like a
Mhm.
little comment here, a little comment there, because I had been so completely behind the scenes. And I think if I didn't genuinely enjoy what I was talking about, I wouldn't have kept going. Like I think that's the biggest secret with YouTube, and I'm sure you talk about this a lot. Like there have been so many times where if I was just looking at the metrics or just feeling into the strategy of YouTube and looking at the results early on, if I didn't love what I was doing, I would have stopped. Like anyone would have stopped. They would have been like, this isn't working. But, something happened around 6 months. I hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. So I started in February of 2019. I hit the 6 month mark or 1,000 subscribers. I remember this very well because it was my birthday. Like on my actual birthday in August, I opened my YouTube app and I had hit finally 1,000 subscribers. And I was like, what an incredible birthday gift? And then I think it was October. So that would have been 8 months after I started my channel that I finally could monetize in terms of turning monetization on my channel. And then from there it was really like hockey stick growth after that. And so something happened. The YouTube gods were like, okay, you're you're consistent. We're going to reward you. But I think like many YouTubers, I had one video that really popped. And sometimes that's really what it takes in the beginning. And I think a big misconception is that every video is a hit, and that's just not the reality. I had one video that truly like led the growth of my channel for probably the first couple of years, was sort of the driving video for a ton of subscribers. Scroll down. That one that said, no, up, it was like this, it literally was video number 6 or 7. That one right there, how to become a copywriter. That one.
This one.
Yep.
So did that one, if this is video 6 or 7, that was in that first batch of the first 6 videos. Did it
I
not
know.
take off until 8 months later?
It really just was a slow burn in the beginning, and then something happened. And that's the thing I love the most about YouTube is every single thing I create. It's unlike Instagram where, if it doesn't pop in the first 24 hours, it's virtually dead. You could delete it. It's not going to do anything. This video truly was like slow burn. And then something happened and it just full on hockey stick moment. I'll see if I can pull it up in my studio while we're talking and show you the graph. But that this video as well. So before this video, my strategy was to talk to business owners because that had been my strategy. I was a fractional CMO working behind the scenes with businesses. And when I started talking about marketing, I was talking about marketing to business owners in the first original videos. At least that was sort of my strategy going in, thinking maybe I'll attract another client or something like that. And then someone commented on my video, one of the first few, saying, how did you get into what you do? And I was like, oh, that would be an interesting video to talk about. I can just share how I became a copywriter and how anyone could learn this skill. And that video, when it started taking off, I really realized I was sitting on a huge opportunity. And truly, that video, if I had to pinpoint one thing in my business, that video was the foundation of the Copy Posse, because all of a sudden I realized what huge demand there was for people wanting to learn that skill set.
So, because this video didn't take off till 8 months later, were you this whole time here really talking more towards business owners?
Yeah.
And not until that video took off, is that when you really started thinking, okay, I need to pivot my audience a little bit?
Yeah, like, you can kinda see, I'm like, all I mean, what's great is so much of what I teach is applicable to both,
Yeah.
but it was I really when I started to notice that video taking off more than most is when I really started realizing, "Oh, wait, my audience, I think, is freelancers more so than business owners."
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I was still kind of all over the place a little bit. Like, here you can
Mhm.
start seeing, like, how much do I
Yeah, I
charge?
saw
Client
that.
like, that's when I really started shifting into
How to go from
speaking.
$100 side hustle to 10K a month. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then
Mhm.
that was the big focus through 20, and at that point, I had probably already decided that that was gonna be my first launch, my very
Mhm.
first product launch that I did in January, of the following year was around how to start your copywriting side hustle, which is still my flagship program that does very well and what the Posse is known for. And so it's fascinating how and this is what's so great about YouTube. It truly became this incredible sort of market testing ground of like what's hitting, like I had no freaking clue that people would want to know how to do what I did. Because back then it like copywriters weren't that well known. It wasn't a thing that people really wanted to know. I mean, you look at the keyword term copywriting, it really started to take off around this time. And so that took me in a direction I wasn't fully expecting, but pleasant surprise.
I want to take a minute to thank my sponsor for this video, Kiln. Kiln is an organization of co-working spaces all throughout the western half of the United States. This is where I'm filming right now, and if you happen to have a location near you, you're going to want to check it out. It's a place that you can film your content. If you are looking for a dedicated space outside of your own home, an office space that also has a benefit of being a community. There's so many amazing community events. There's the space itself is absolutely beautiful, and for me, it has been an absolute game changer for my business and for my YouTube channel. For me to be able to leave the house where sometimes things are quite noisy, quite crazy with the kids, with the gardener, with construction happening next door. It is so nice to know that I have this nice, beautiful, clean, quiet space that I'm able to work and I'm able to film. So thank you so much for Kiln for sponsoring this portion of the video. If you're curious about a co-working space for yourself, check out the links in the description below. So how did you adjust then your business model? Because it sounds like you got onto YouTube because you had some strong opinions about things. You wanted to kind of just share that. And
Yeah.
then also I was assuming you're doing that to build your business of being a copywriter. And so then
Yeah.
how did it shift then your business model with that
Totally. I mean, it
video,
shifted
your
from me
channel?
deciding I was going to build an agency originally to take on more clients and do B2B business services. It shifted to, oh, maybe I should launch a course, B2C, for people who want to start new careers. So it really changed my business model completely. And for a while, I did both. I still held on to a couple of my biggest clients for about the first 2 years after starting my channel. And so I was working with them, taking on side projects here and there. Uh, and then when the Copy Posse just took off, it was like, okay, I'm really going to go all in on the education piece. Now I occasionally will do high level consulting and strategy sessions and things like that. Again, because I do miss the really like peeking behind the scenes of businesses and that's where I thrive, the strategy side of things. And so it's interesting how now things are sort of coming back full circle where I did it for other people and then I did it for myself. And then now I'm like, okay, I want to start offering more of that again because it's exciting to me to be able to do that. The one-on-one. Yeah, the one-on-one and the high level strategy. It's exciting, it's interesting and I will always teach marketing and messaging and branding and the Posse is very much a marketing education platform, but excited to see where my personal brand can take me now, which again is one of the great things about YouTube is, it's my name. So
Hmm.
I can take it in so many different directions in terms of my personal brand.
So let's talk about the copywriting posse.
The Copy Posse, yeah.
Copy posse. So you had YouTube kind of blew you up. You had now this testing ground where you're testing these ideas and people were resonating. And so you created, was it an online coaching program, or tell us about the Copy Posse and how you came to create it? And then also what did that look like when you leveraged YouTube to launch it?
Yeah. So from February 13th, 2019, the day I made
Mhm.
the video, to January 29th, 2020, I had
You're
nothing
good
to
with
sell.
dates.
I know. Well, I've talked about this a lot, so
Okay.
they're important dates that I remember well.
Okay.
I had nothing to sell. So
Mm.
truly, if you came to my YouTube channel, I had nothing to sell you. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess you could contact me and hire my team to write copy for sure.
Yeah.
But at that point, we were pretty maxed out. I truly was just like, I don't know what I'm doing with this.
Mhm.
But I started building my email list.
Yeah.
Probably like 1 or 2 months in, I had this like realization, like, I should be building my email list with this
Mhm.
because I had only been kind of focusing on the views and the YouTube metrics. And so I did what I tell everyone not to do. I made like my call to action was
Join my
join
email
my
list.
email list. It wasn't even like a lead magnet. I was like, I don't know. What tool did I use? I'm sure everyone can guess MailChimp
Yeah,
because it was
just gonna
free.
say MailChimp, yeah.
So I go to MailChimp, I create a free email, account, and I just plug it there in the bottom of my videos at some point. I'm sure I could go back and just like, we could probably locate exactly which video it was. I don't remember when, but
Mhm.
my list just slowly started to grow. So I'm like, okay, well, all I'm going to do now then is every time I have a new video, I'm going to email my list about the video so that I'm at least
Mhm.
sending them something, right?
Something. Uh-huh.
Then it would have been around October, November. So let's say we're about 8 months in with my YouTube channel, and I really started to see the potential. And I was starting to approach, like, I hit 10,000 subscribers in like December of that year. So I went from 1,000 subscribers in August to
Mhm.
10,000
Oh,
subscribers in
wow.
December of that year.
That's
So
pretty
that was
fast.
when I was really starting to notice kind of what was going on. And
Mhm.
I've always been so big on branding and community building. And I mean, my background, I was a creative director at Mind Valley, which is a large
Mhm,
personal
mhm.
development brand for years. And then I was doing this for other brands and businesses. And so I knew that I didn't want um, to use my personal brand at the time for what I was doing. I really just wanted it to be about the community and the mission that I had, which I'm very publicly would share, is to dedouchify the internet. And so I started rallying community around that mission, and the Copy Posse just kind of came to me one day. I was like, oh, we're a posse of copywriters, and I wanted to do my very first group coaching program that would teach my frameworks, systems, formulas for writing copy, because I had been doing it for, at this point now, 10 years. I had frameworks and formulas that I followed for every client launch I had done. So I packaged it into my first group coaching program. It was, an 8-week live cohort, launched on January 29th, 2020. Uh, at that point, I remember it so well. I had a list of 2,300 people. So not huge, 2,300, 2,000 people, but every single one of those leads came from YouTube because it was the only thing I was doing at the time, right?
And
I
you
was
had
like,
10,000 subscribers around that time.
yeah, I had
Mhm.
10,000 subscribers, and about maybe by January, it was a little bit more, let's say 12.
Yeah.
And I had 2,300 email subscribers, which is actually a pretty good ratio now that I think
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah.
So what I did is I emailed the 2,000 people, and I just asked them, if I were to create a program teaching them something, what would they want to learn? I asked a bunch of questions, and it became really clear that everyone on this list wanted to start a freelance copywriting business. They didn't know how to start. They didn't know how to build a portfolio. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could totally teach them this. And so that was it. I wrote the sales page. I didn't pre-record a single thing. I thought if I could get 10 people in, like, holy shit.
Mhm.
I'm like crushing life, you
Yeah,
know?
good.
Um, 44 people joined the first time I
Mhm.
opened doors, and it's a $2,000 product. So there I was going like, "Oh my gosh, I just made $88,000 in a week, and I guess I better deliver on this promise." And so I took those first 44 people through season 1 of the Launchpad, I called it,
Mhm.
the Copy Posse Launchpad, and it was just life changing. It was it
Wow.
in a minute. I thought back to the year before that where I was so terrified to like put myself out there and buying these motivational quotes, trying to look all professional, sitting in my office feeling deathly afraid of being on
Mhm.
camera, awkwardly reading a teleprompter, to now having 44 students who said yes to my first ever coaching program. And I think that was just the moment where everything changed and I really realized the power of what I had built.
Wow. So then what did you do after that? With the success of that first launch, we're like, okay, rinse and repeat. It sounded like it was like an 8 week, you said 6 or 8 week program. You're going to do it again? Or what did it look like after that?
Yeah. So after that, I mean, to answer that question, yes, I've done it every year since. So we just closed doors a few weeks ago on season 7 of the Launchpad, which is
Okay.
really cool. And uh, it is to this day, remained ever so relevant with everything going on, even with AI. Because what I teach is marketing first and
Mhm.
strategy first and funnel building first, and then how to layer in messaging and copywriting uh, into that, you know, user experience and user journey of creating a marketing funnel. And so, yeah, after that first launch, in January of 2020, I just decided like it was go time. I was going all in with the Copy Posse. So like I said, I still worked with other clients on the side. And so it was very much a juggling act for the first couple of years. But I went on to do a live challenge later that year where I taught people how to write a sales page. And then that became my first low ticket course. And then it's just been sort of ever since then, creating new offers, new funnels, continuing to build my community. And YouTube has been sort of the one strategy and the one channel that I've just decided to just go all in on and double down on.
So when you get people into the copy posse, is it all through YouTube or using anything else at this point to drive traffic to it?
Yeah, now we do more.
Mhm.
So obviously, we use other social media platforms. Instagram, LinkedIn has been actually very, very successful
Mm.
for us in terms of growing an audience there. And we do run paid ads
Mhm.
through some of our evergreen funnels, or if we're gearing up for a live launch. When I compare our, ad spend to some people I'm friends with, I feel like we're babies when it comes to Meta and paid advertising, but uh, I'm really starting to double down more on that because I feel like I was 80% organic for the first however many years of my business, and I love that. And uh, I think doubling down on our paid traffic strategy now with the platform that we have with organic,
Mhm.
it's just going to be a win-win on both ends.
Yeah, how much are you spending on ads now?
About 25,000 a month, so
Mhm.
not a ton. I
Mhm.
would love to get to like 100,000 a month,
Mhm.
in profitable ad spend, but we're slowly scaling. Slowly scaling up from there.
And with the Copy Posse, does that program look the same now than it did when you first launched it? You said it was $2,000. How has it evolved or is
Yeah,
it
the
the same?
price is higher now. So the very first season was 2,000, and then season 2 onwards, I bumped up the price to
Mhm.
3,000. That's what it is
Mm.
now.
Mhm.
The program looks very much the same in terms of the content, but of course it's been completely revamped, updated. The video training is, top-notch production,
Mhm.
similar to my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I mean, the first cohort, like I laugh. It's like I had absolutely the worst setup. I had no professional
Mhm.
camera with Zoom. It was like me in my little home office with like, my door with my robe hanging on the back of it. Like it was
Mhm.
bad. But
Yeah.
it was also part of the magic of it. I think everyone felt very much that they were part of something new and special. But we've evolved the program in so many cool ways. One of my favorite things about the Launchpad is for the live version that we do every January, we actually source job opportunities for our students. So we
Oh,
call it the A list. One of the things that is the biggest thing that holds new copywriters back, of course, is not having a real client to be able to showcase in their portfolio and not be able to really gain real experience. And so we sort of we call it like a almost like an internship opportunity where we go out, we open up applications, we get businesses to apply who are serious about getting copywriting help. And then we put together a list of businesses who make the final cut, and all of our students in the Launchpad get to pick a business to write their portfolio for. So it's the opportunity to showcase real client work in their portfolio, which is I think one of the things that makes it the most special. And so that's sort of the beauty of being able to launch something that is so timeless is every year we do it. We just work on making it better and better and creating new opportunities for our students to really succeed.
so one of the advantages of joining your program is basically they're not getting necessarily paid by those people. It's just almost like
No.
an internship where like they have the opportunity to work and now they have some actual client
Yeah.
examples.
Exactly. At the bare
Yeah.
minimum, I always say like at least you're getting a portfolio that you
Yeah.
wrote for a real business who knows you're writing for them,
Mhm.
and that's sort of, the immediate, base level benefit. But the added benefit, of course, is potentially getting feedback, which many do, or getting their foot in the door to even get hired, or referred.
And so how many do you have the numbers as far as just since when you started the total revenue amount that the Copy Posse brought you, along with like just how many students and people you've helped in that
Oh
program?
gosh. Yeah, I mean, definitely close to 10 million, probably, not
Mhm.
just through the Launchpad. Of course, I have many other uh, courses now at different price points. But through the Launchpad specifically, we've had over 1,500 students go through that program.
And most of the traffic has all been from YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of the specificity too. Uh, I only learned this sort of after starting my channel, but a lot of people in the beginning, especially in those first 6 months where things were slow, I had a lot of like experts
Mhm.
tell me that I should go more broad and that I
Mhm.
shouldn't just speak about copywriting. And of course, now I don't just talk about
Yeah.
copywriting, right? Now I have people who have been in my community for years, and they've literally gone from being in completely different careers, let's say school teacher or working in hospitality or being a personal trainer or a server or a student, and learning copywriting as a skill set, starting a
Mhm.
freelance business, building their own freelance business, now starting their own businesses. Because I always say copywriting is like the gateway drug to
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. You
Yeah.
learn this skill, you start doing it for other people, and then you realize like, oh my gosh, I can sell. I'm gonna do this for myself. I'm gonna scale either my service-based business, or I'm gonna start taking on higher level strategy clients. I'm gonna start doing more marketing services, or I'm
Mhm.
gonna start an e-commerce brand or launch my own coaching program. And I realized that a lot of them stick with me because I don't stay just at the base level anymore. Super top of funnel basic copywriting. I talk about business systems and funnels and growth and team and operations and mindset and all of that. But in the beginning, I really do think my success was because I had just such a laser focus. Once I got focused. In the beginning, it was like, oh, what am I talking about? But once I realized the gold mine I was sitting on with the demand in the copywriting niche, I was like, this is it. I'm going all in on this.
So when people wanted you to go broad or like go broad beyond just copywriting and what online marketing or where what were people saying?
Yeah, they were like, you should talk about social media and you
Mm.
should talk about blogging and you should talk about general marketing. And I just was like, but that's not my thing.
Mhm.
Like I'm a copywriter. That's what I do. That's what I like to talk about.
You're like, I don't want
Uh
to.
and it what's that?
You're like, I don't want to. I just
I don't
want to talk
want to do
about
that. And
copywriting.
like,
Yeah.
and what's hilarious is like, I was not a social media expert. Like,
Yeah.
and I said this to you before we started recording, like,
Mhm.
it's fun for me to talk about YouTube now because I've had so much success with it, but I'm not a YouTube coach. Like
Mhm.
it's a channel in my business and I
Mhm.
love it. And I love talking about it. I'm not going to go create a YouTube course,
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
think,
Yeah.
never say never, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I really love talking about social media now. But back then people are telling me I should talk about social media. And I'm like, but I've never once ever done social media. Like you're going to go look at my Instagram and be like, what does this girl know about social
Yeah.
media?
Yes.
I only have followers on LinkedIn and Instagram because of YouTube.
Mhm.
That's what I think people don't really realize is yes, I of course people find me on LinkedIn and Instagram now, but in the beginning, every single person who followed me on Instagram wasn't what was because they first saw me on YouTube and then they were like, "Oh, I want to go follow her on, Instagram now." It wasn't the other way around. And so I've always followed a very what I call a YouTube first approach to marketing. Like because if I create one very high quality, and I say very high quality because that is the one thing that I will never cheap out on. I will never get AI to write my YouTube scripts for me because, like, this is the platform that literally has become the foundation for my entire business. It's how I express myself, it's how I voice my opinions. I will spend hours, you know, rewriting and tweaking scripts every single week and once you have one really great piece of content like that, you can repurpose it in so many ways. And so that's always been my strategy. Create one long form piece of content. I can clip it, I can snip it, I can take quotes from it, I can create a carousel based on the 5 points that I talk about in the script. I can put it in a LinkedIn newsletter, I can post it on my blog and optimize it for SEO. I can take the intro of the video, turn it into an email to promote the video. Everything I do comes from YouTube first.
Mhm. Yeah. I so agree with that. I see a lot of people trying to do the opposite, like they're repurposing content onto YouTube or podcast or
Yeah.
something like that, and then they wonder why it's not working.
Oh my God. Like literally, like the number of people who have said to me, can you take a look at my channel? Cause like I just don't understand why I'm not growing. I'm stuck at, 3,000 subscribers. And I look and all they're doing is uploading their
They're
podcast. And I was like, listen, YouTube is an amazing platform, but YouTube consumers are ruthless. Like
Mhm.
they want content for them. And the mindset of a YouTube, is solve my problems or entertain me. And it doesn't mean you can't have podcasts pop and grow. Absolutely, you can. And I'm not saying you shouldn't put podcasts on YouTube because the people who want to go watch you on a podcast will go watch you on a podcast, but
Yeah.
it's not a growth strategy.
Yeah.
It's not how you build a large account.
And I always say, see, because I have this show, this podcast, where I'm like, the only reason I'm uploading this onto YouTube is because I'm talking to YouTubers about YouTube on
About
YouTube.
YouTube, on
Yes,
YouTube. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the only reason.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it wasn't for that, like it would not make sense. Like most
Yeah.
interviews, unless you're interviewing someone famous or super well known in the field, like it
Yeah.
does not get traction.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I think it's if you have it, sure, upload it, but
Mhm.
that can't be your only strategy,
Mhm.
And I think that's where a lot of people give up. I there's this one funny story that I have where there's this guy that I know in the marketing world and old school direct response marketers, they really have this air of like, I don't want to make it seem like I try too hard because my whole brand is like that I don't really try hard.
Mhm.
And I remember
Because they
when
have
my
you doing all the work for them,
yeah,
right?
that's what I was thinking. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I've been in that behind the scenes role, making you look real good for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
And so I remember this particular person when my channel really started blowing up. I got like a Facebook message that, first of all, like, you know, anyone who calls a woman's business like a little gig or like a little business, I'm just like, shut up
Mhm.
immediately. But
Yeah.
he was like, oh, I saw your little gig like that you got going on. Looks like, and I was just immediately like, unagi, like chill. But
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks." And then at one point he was like, "I'm really curious." Like a couple months go by and you could tell he was like watching me,
Yeah.
and kind of being like, "Ooh, I don't know, maybe this little business isn't so little."
Mhm.
And asked to go out for coffee because he wanted to pick my brain about YouTube. And I'm an open book. Like
Mhm.
I believe in abundance. I believe in sharing. I'm
Yes.
like, I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Yeah.
Like, cause I know that my process isn't the magic. I know that
Mhm.
I'm the magic and you
Exactly.
can't have that. So
Mhm.
I literally walked him through like every single step of my process, like down to how I set up my camera and lights so that it's like really easy for me to just like pop in, record, pop out. I can do it all in like 25 minutes, one episode done. Um, and after I gave him literally the secret sauce to success, he literally looked at me and was like, "Don't take this the wrong way, but it's just like that all seems like you're just trying so hard." And I just have sort of built my brand on not trying that hard. And I was like, "Okay. Yeah, that's fine." And
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, "When did it become uncool to try hard?" Like, I am totally fine to be that girl that is obviously trying really hard.
Yeah. And
And sometimes you fall, sometimes you fumble, sometimes you fail, and sometimes you don't.
mhm.
And, so I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool." And then in my head, I'm like, "Why the
What
heck
the
did he
hell?
ask me all these questions about YouTube if he's, like,
Yeah.
just not willing to try that hard?" I honestly think he was hoping I was gonna say,
It's so easy. Just this. So it's
"It's so you just take the
an
content you
hour a
already
week.
have." Yep,
Yeah. It's
easy.
so easy.
Um, and then guess what? He started a YouTube channel about a year later.
You did.
Yeah, and then he gave up after a few videos. Like,
I was gonna ask. I was
that
just
part.
gonna ask you.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And that's the thing that I think people need to know is like YouTube isn't a dip your toe in platform. I mean, sure you can try it out and if you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. But I mean like YouTube is if you're serious about what you do, if you love what you do, if you know that you can help people with what you do, it is in my opinion, it is your responsibility to get your work out there. And YouTube is one of the best platforms to do it on. But don't expect overnight success. However, YouTube rewards consistency better than any other platform. I mean, you can be, consistent on Instagram and not get results. You can also have a reel go viral, your second reel ever. And you're like, wow, this is amazing. But what I have found is buyer intent from a YouTuber who's looking for a solution to their problem. They are so much more valuable than a quick finger swipe scroll on Instagram. So I would way rather actually not go viral on YouTube, but just get the right people in. And I treat it truly as like a top of funnel marketing strategy to bring people into my world.
Yeah, I always say that like the viewer on short form content and Instagram and TikTok is they're more on consumption mode and less on transformation mode. Whereas when people are sitting down to like listen to or watch like a long form piece of content, it really is more on that. They want to do something about it.
Yeah.
So they're more likely and open to buy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to, sign up for whatever you're selling.
Exactly. And I always say too, like with YouTube, it really feels like you're building your body of work.
Mhm.
Like if you are a teacher or an educator or a marketer and you have a business and you want somewhere to host all of your best strategies and the things that you know could really, really help people, every video I create on YouTube, I treat it as a necessary piece of content that's going to help my customers and an audience, get transformation, but also something that I'm really proud to create and share. And I'm unattached to the metrics because as we talked about before, you can have a video pop a year after. In fact, a couple months ago, I was giving another talk at a mastermind on YouTube, and I went to my top 28 top videos from the last 28 days. And I had a couple videos in there that were from years ago, and they are among my top videos right now.
And
And that's
they're like that curve upwards too. Like it's like
exactly.
you're going up.
And like I'll be like, "Oh, wow." And those are they're great videos. They're videos that again had a super slow burn And we don't, we try after we post a video, if it seems to be underperforming, we will try to for the
Settle.
first 48 hours, see if maybe changing the title or the thumbnail will help it
Mhm.
pop a bit more. But honestly, I'm like, it's out there.
Yeah.
Now I at least know if someone searches for it, the likelihood of it showing up is still there. And also YouTube pays its creators. Like
Mhm.
it values the creator relationship that it has. It understands that the platform doesn't exist without creators.
Mhm.
And so at the very minimum, you at least feel like you're being rewarded for the traffic that you're bringing and the eyeballs that you're bringing to their platform.
So what would you tell people? Because it sounds like that guy was somebody that, has an online business, online course. I feel like there's a lot of business owners out there that are a little bit intimidated or afraid of YouTube. What have you seen in that space? And what do you tell people who maybe come to you who are like, well, I have an Instagram, I have a podcast, but what should I do with this YouTube thing with my business? What do you tell people?
Yeah, so I actually had this happen. I was at a mastermind last year, and a friend of mine came up to me, and she was in a very relatable place. She was
Hmm.
like, "Listen, I know I need to do more on YouTube. I upload my
Hmm.
podcast there, but I'm not getting
Right.
traction." And she's like, "I'm tired. Like I create my podcast every single week. I, post on social media." And I knew that if I said to her, like, in addition to all of that, you also then need to start producing a YouTube video every week, she would have
She's
been
gonna be like,
stressed out.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
all I said to her was, I was like, okay, here's what I recommend you do. Rather than, because she was doing interviews on her podcast as well as solo episodes.
Hmm.
So I said, here's what you do. Still do your exact same thing you're doing now, except for your 2 solo episodes. Write the script for YouTube first, then post the audio as a podcast. I was like,
Hmm.
so you're not doing any more work. You're just making it a YouTube first strategy. She's
Exactly.
blowing up now on YouTube. She's got over
Oh,
60,000
amazing.
subscribers. And she realized, like, oh my gosh, like my audience was hungry for this information.
Mhm.
And I was publishing it on my podcast. And giving it to my podcast listeners, but she wasn't being discovered through her podcast. Her
Right.
podcast was for her diehard fans. And then she was uploading the solo episodes to YouTube, but because she wasn't really thinking of it as a YouTube growth strategy, she was just like, well, yeah, it gets some views, even though the content was incredible. So with
Mhm.
just like a few tiny tweaks of thinking YouTube first, without adding any more extra time, except let's say maybe it's an extra 30 minutes with that particular piece of content to do the necessary YouTube related types of tasks, you can have so much success. And so, I don't want to create original content for every piece of or for every platform under the sun. But if you make sure your original piece of content is created for a discoverable platform where people can actually find you, then you're going to just massively change your strategy and get more eyeballs to your stuff without even trying that hard.
Yeah, 100%. I spoke at a podcasting like mastermind, like for business owners about YouTube. And that was the number one piece of advice. I was like, you are thinking right now, like if you actually want to do YouTube, because I
Yeah.
think people think they do. I'm like, if you actually
Yeah.
want to do YouTube, and the reason why you want to do YouTube is like, how are you going to get discovered on a podcast? There's no, unless you're collaborating with people or there's just no discoverability there. So your chances of going viral and blowing up on a podcast is slim to none, probably even more these days because it's so much more saturated than it was years ago. But if you're serious about being on YouTube, you have to think YouTube first and not like I'm a podcaster who wants to be on YouTube. And the number one switch, like you mentioned, is thinking YouTube first. But the reason why you're thinking YouTube first is because you need to have such a focus on each video that you can have a very effective thumbnail title. The problem with
Mhm.
podcasters is that they do this rambling long podcast or whatever, and when they come time to do the thumbnail title, they're like, "Well, I talk about this, I talk about this," so it's just like some hodgepodgey whatever.
Random. Yeah.
Yeah, thumbnail title. There's no direct point. So I'm like, okay, if I gave the exact same advice. I was like, you're
Yeah.
gonna do YouTube, then how about thinking about the episode as, what topic is it going to be, what thumbnail title you're
Exactly.
going to do, and then you could still make it a podcast. You can still sit there
Totally.
and talk, but it has to be super focused so that you have a good hook and you have a good thumbnail title. Because it's all
Yeah,
the difference between podcasting and YouTube, and a lot of platforms really is that packaging element of it, the thumbnail
totally.
title and hook. And if you
Yeah,
don't have that dialed in, you're not going to see success on YouTube. And that's why repurposing from a podcast to a YouTube never works. It
never
never
works.
ever
Yeah.
works. It doesn't work.
I say that yeah, I say that all the time. And to be honest, I think this would make for better podcasts too, is create the
Mhm.
hook and then or write the hook, create the packaging, and then create the content to satisfy that,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
is the biggest shift with YouTube, and I think
Mhm.
people ask me that all the time, like what my scripting process is. Like there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes to thinking about a video before I go and record it. And usually it starts with my team and I brainstorming general topics. Like I think our video next week or the week after is on storytelling. It's like, okay, we have a general topic. Now that we kind of roughly know what we're going to be talking about, now let's go craft the hook. Let's do some research. Let's figure out how we can write a really juicy hook related to storytelling. What's the thumbnail going to say? What's the other thumbnail going to say? Because we split test every single one of our thumbnails. Then how do we write the script to satisfy that hook? And I think with any content, by the way, so if you're listening to this and you're like, well, what about short form videos on Instagram? Same thing. I think uh thinking about the hook and how you're going to open a short form video, those first 3 seconds is the most important part. And it's the thing that so many people get wrong. And it could be the greatest video ever, but whatever you're missing in the first 3 seconds is the one thing that's stopping it from hitting.
Yeah. So I'm super curious with AI now. I'm sure you're getting this question a lot and you kind of touched on it really briefly, but how do you think it has changed the copywriting world? And is it something for you as somebody who teaches copywriting? You have the copy posse. Like,
Mhm.
what are you hearing? What are you seeing as far as copywriters? I know the biggest fear is that AI is going to replace us as humans, right? AI is going to
Yeah.
replace jobs. And I think one of
Yeah.
the first places we're seeing is writing and copywriting. So, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that and what are you seeing?
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts on this. So I think what is very interesting is, of course, AI has massively shifted the industry in all ways, right? All marketing, everything. I mean, it's a massive disruptor. And I am probably biased, but I actually think copywriting is one skill that is now more in demand than ever. And that's because copywriting is not word generation. I think at first glance, when people look at something that, let's say, ChatGPT spits out, like to me, that is not copywriting, that is words. And yes, it's super helpful. Like if you want to write an SEO rich product description for your product, like fine, great, awesome. However, now that AI is accessible to everyone, it's pure economics to know that the more widely available something is, the less valuable it becomes, right? And so now that literally anyone can quote unquote write an email and call it copywriting, there's nothing that stands out. And so you see now brands and businesses sort of scrambling to be like, well, shit, like now I actually need to rise above all of this noise, this AI generated garbage that's kind of not really saying anything but saying all the things because it doesn't know how to discern, it doesn't know what's truly valuable, it doesn't understand positioning, it doesn't understand strategy, it doesn't understand so much of what makes marketing impactful. Whereas copywriters, real copywriters, the copywriters that I train are marketers first, who then also know how to craft a message. And what we are seeing, and I knew this was going to be the case, is that initially there was a little bit of a panic, right? And of course, like if you don't know truly what copywriting is and you see how fast ChatGPT can write, it is incredible, like incredible, right? Like blow your mind. We're living in the future. Holy cow. And there were a lot of businesses who were like, great, why would I need to pay my copywriter when I can just get AI to do it for me? And unfortunately, there was a little bit of that, like, layoffs and I don't need my creative team members anymore. And what's happening, and I knew this was going to happen, and we see this happening with, numbers on my job board and people coming back now is going, oh, wait a second. I think I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I actually realized I need a copywriter more now than ever because replacing the unique human voice that I had in my messaging with AI that now sounds like everything and everyone else was actually not the best strategic move. And in order to really stay connected with my clients and customers, I need to bring back that human element. There was a study done by Forrester not too long ago that actually shared or reported that 55% of businesses who laid off creative workers last year thinking that AI could do their jobs now regret it. And that's just sort of a growing trend that I'm seeing. And so when you look at marketing, like in the simplest form or in the simplest way to explain this, there's only really three ways that any business can build trust with its customers: the content that we create, the communication that we have with our customers, whether it's through our DMs, through our email communication, and then it's through the products and services that we deliver. And those are the three areas that I think you would be stupid to replace with AI. Do I use AI in my business? Every freaking day. I use it for frameworking and systems and automation and streamlining and summarizing and connecting the dots and, cross-referencing databases. I mean, I use it in so many ways, but I will never, ever use it for customer communication, for creating content, or for delivering my services. Do I have AI tools where I'm very transparent in my programs where I say, ask my AI bot to find an FAQ for you quicker? Yeah, absolutely. Like transparency is key. I just feel like if you're replacing all of the trust building activities in your business with AI, then what do you have left to build trust?
Yeah. And what's to stop somebody from copying you too? That's the thing. Like with AI, it's like if you're not bringing your own sense to it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's actually the crazy thing, right? It's like if you remove yourself from the process, then there's absolutely no one stop, or you can't stop anyone from going and taking your likeness,
Exactly. Yeah.
taking all of your content and trying to replicate it to create a fake influencer, a fake creator, or a fake version of you. And it's just wild to me that it took as long as it did for, I think, for people to start to understand that. But now it feels like a mad scramble. Now everyone's like, oh God, I overused it. I overused it. I overused it. I hear that every single day.
I'm so curious, and I'm wondering if you've seen this. What do you think about YouTube creators? Because you said you don't use AI in your content creation. You don't use it at all. So
No.
what do you think about those creators? I'm seeing some of them cropping up because, I work with YouTube creators all day, every day. That's what I do,
Yeah.
right? So I'm on YouTube a lot. I'm seeing everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And there's more and more of these channels coming up that are, yes, there these obviously we know that there's the AI slop and the faceless YouTube channels, all that. But then there's some of these ones where the creator is replacing themselves with an avatar. Have you seen that?
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too. As a viewer and a consumer, I hate it. And as a
Yeah. It
person
literally
that
makes
creates,
me feel sick to my stomach
yes, I agree.
because, again, it's like, what's the energy there? The energy there is you're not important enough for me to show up for you, but you should still buy from me. To me, it's like, what are we doing here, people? Like, listen, would I have fun with maybe like an Ask Alex bot that was like super transparent where I said something like, if you're trying to find an answer to something and you don't want to search through my YouTube channel, ask, Alex the bot. I wouldn't use an avatar, but let's just say it's like a search thing and like, hey, yeah, here's a video for you to watch. Do super transparently, in that way. If it can help your customer find answers faster and all of that, great. Where I think it gets really icky is when you're not transparent with your audience. And the thing that a lot of people say is like, well, why does it matter? Like if you're delivering value and they don't know that it's you or AI, why does it matter? And my answer to that is like integrity. Like I would never want my audience to feel duped. And I know they do all the time, not by me, but I'll do a live Zoom like webinar, and the number of times people are in the chat and I'm live and people are like, this is pre-recorded, or is this AI? And I have to literally like talk about a current event or say their names in the chat. And that makes me sad. It's just because so many people have been misled and have been duped in that way. And I just honestly, like, again, personally, and I know people use it, and I know a lot of people talk about, AI clones and things like that. I'm just like, if you need to create so much content using an AI clone to stand out, or you think that that's a strategy to stand out, like, you're doing it wrong. I think you could actually produce one video a week like I do and have a much more loyal following, because how much content can a human actually consume anyway? And then the other question, actually, I got this last night at a mastermind dinner I was at. I think you can get reach. I think you can get views as a AI influencer. I mean, you see this all the time on TikTok, and it's wild. I mean, anyone now can create an AI influencer, and they get a ton of views and they get a ton of follows. But I would love, 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 love for anyone watching this, to prove how that translates into an actual business and people paying money, taking out their credit card and saying, you're the person that I want to learn from. So I think there's just a big bridge that people are forgetting customers need to cross before they will pay you money.
The big monetization strategy I'm seeing on YouTube is AdSense for those channels.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Which is like, who wants to be chasing views like that? And I always say this: what's to stop you from somebody else copying?
Yeah.
And they see what you're doing. If it's working, that's just a race to the bottom. I agree with you. I think if you commit to not having an AI avatar and to not doing that, then people can know that every time you show up, it's really you,
Yeah.
and you're protecting your own personal brand. Because at some point, like, I would just worry, like, how do you know someone's not going to create a likeness of you, or how do they know that there's something out there, right? But if
Yeah.
you commit to saying I'm always me, it's always going to be me,
Yeah.
then I think you'll probably thank yourself in the future.
I agree. Because as soon as you break trust like that, then now they question every single thing you create. Like, it's wild. Even just on this small little thing, when I even started using like DM automation on Instagram and stuff like that, I actually always would say when it was an automated message, and I actually gave my automation like a name called Benny the bot. And every time there was an automated DM sent, uh, it would say, "Hey, it's Benny the bot. I'm here to deliver lightning fast resources for you." And everyone would be like, "Thanks, Benny. You're the best, Benny." And I had a lot of people say to me, like, "What's even the point of doing that?" Like, they don't care if it's a bot or you. It's the same thing.
Well,
And
no,
I was
because
like,
when you do show up and it's you, they know
yeah.
it's actually you.
And that's kind of it. I was like, but
Mhm.
I never want my audience to feel duped.
Mhm.
And that was like the early days of automation, where this was before AI, right? And now with AI, I'm noticing the level of skepticism is so much higher, so much so that we were using this feature on Instagram where if anyone followed us, they would get an automated message. And the
Mhm.
original message said, "Hey, it's Alex. Thanks so much for the follow. Don't know how you found me, but super glad you're here." I didn't even
Mhm.
want to sell anything. I'm like, let's just say
Mhm.
hi.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, this is I think the thing that us marketers say to ourselves. Obviously, it's automated. It's getting sent within 0.2 seconds of
Second.
someone following
Yeah.
me. But what's interesting is, even though it's obvious, because the first iteration of the message didn't say it was automated, the number of responses that I got back to that message of people saying, "I know this is a bot. I know this is a bot. I know this is a bot." And I was like, of course, I'm like, well, obviously, because I wasn't meant to trick you. I was just saying hi. But I changed the message to say, "Hi, this is an automated message from Alex." And then the exact same rest of the message was the exact same. Everyone now is replying, hey, Alex, I know this is an automated message, but it was so nice seeing your name in my DMs." And nobody is mad. And it's like, I really think being transparent to the extent of like calling out automation and AI when you're using it is such a trust building thing, and it lowers people's guards, and they can go, okay, good. This is the type of person that actually discloses when they are using automation or bots, and I trust them now more.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. If you don't protect your own personal brand, it's things are wild these days, Alex. Like
Wild.
I have two clients I know of. One, she's in the true crime space. She has entire channels taking her likeness. And I know YouTube is trying to do something to stop this, but like full blown taking her likeness, full blown taking her scripts, full blown and creating whole channels. And then I have another client who they took her and actually it was a weight loss company. They made her look like 40, 50 pounds heavier using AI. And they had like a reel, like, and it was like, oh, look at me. I lost all this weight. And this was me before. And she's like, that's not me. I never looked like that. They did that on TikTok with her. So it's like, if you commit to being truly authentically because if for some reason either one of these creators, which they haven't, had any element of their persona that was AI, people will be like, well, no, that's what you do anyway. So,
Yeah, you do that.
there's
Yeah,
no
what's wrong with
integrity.
that?
Exactly. There's no integrity to like who you are. And that's
Yeah.
terrifying to me because I don't want anybody to put words in my mouth. I don't want anybody to say I did something I didn't. It's bad enough being gaslit in these days and be like, well, I didn't mean that or I didn't mean that. But now they can literally put words in your
Yeah.
mouth, which is
And that's such
really
a good
scary.
point. I actually haven't thought of it that way, where it's like, what if that does happen to you? You have no leg
As
to
a public
stand on.
persona. Yeah.
Yeah, you have no leg to stand on if you're like, I don't want to be remade in AI and used in a way that it's like, but you
But you
already
are.
do that. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's just another reason not to use it.
It's
Yeah,
it's
I'm
wild.
honestly, my strategy is doubling down on being human.
Humanity. Mhm.
Seriously. And like, am I using AI? Absolutely. But it is wild. I have a question for you. When you mentioned that YouTube, because this is a question I have, and I'm like, maybe you know the answer to it. Do you see YouTube changing their policy to really penalize these faceless brands that are using other people's likeness or, trying to make a quick buck with monetization?
I would hope so, but for my clients that I know that that's happened to, it's been difficult for them to get that taken down. They have had to go through YouTube and eventually it happens, but unless it's like YouTube isn't doing it on their own. Like if they but I'm trying to figure out clarity on this too because they did come out recently with some like ID type thing where you put up your likeness and they're supposed to now like search YouTube for people using their likeness. So that's in the beginning stages. And I don't know how many people are actually actively using it. I know I haven't and because there's also fear rolling. Now you have my facial ID. What are you going to do with that? Right. So they're saying like submit information on like your facial ID or allow us to use your facial ID to now find you so that we can tell you if somebody else is using their likeness. But then there's that mistrust there as well that creators like, well, I don't want to do that. Do I want to really do that? But I think that is a little bit their answer to this issue. But what's interesting is that I have been watching in different spaces these AI avatar influencers, just seeing what happens. And there's one person I can think of. Gosh, what's her name? She has an AI likeness, and she teaches about AI. So she'll say it's Julia McCoy. She's like, "Oh, hi, I'm Julia McCain. This is an AI version of Julia McCoy." I'm like, "Okay." She's being very like transparent, like this is my AI version. But there's other channels I look at that they don't display that it's AI, but I'm pretty sure it's AI, right? I'm almost positive because I'll look back into older videos. This is kind of like a mini hobby of mine. I'm like, can I tell the AI, right? But it doesn't look like YouTube isn't requiring these people to disclose that, like the way that we have to disclose that there's like a brand deal, right? There, it looks like there is like a button, right? That you have to push if you use any like altering whatever. But I don't see people using that.
Yeah, or
So,
enforcing it. Yeah, like
so
why?
it's
Because
not
they don't
being
want to.
enforced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, well, how is YouTube to know? And if it's not being enforced, nobody's going to do it. So to me, it really lies in the and that's the thing that happened to this one client with that TikTok ad. It was like an ad on TikTok. And she was like, people, please report it. She did a whole YouTube video on it too. Like, please report it to TikTok that this is happening because if it doesn't get reported, I mean, TikTok isn't going to do anything. But it's these technology companies that truly have to they have to be the ones enforcing it. And will they? Like, I don't know if they
Yeah.
give a shit. Do they give a shit? Until we as
Yeah.
creators like take some kind of stance, I don't think it
Yeah.
matters to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think right now we're just in this really crazy gap where policy and terms and conditions and all of
Yeah.
this haven't
Caught
caught
up.
up with the way in which people are using it. But you said it earlier, and I think this all the time. It's like that's a race to the bottom, and I
Mhm.
do think there's only a matter of time before you know you're creating a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy
Yeah.
where
What's real anymore?
everything online is so lacking substance and so just generic bland slop that it's going to really start impacting user experience. And I think that's when people will realize like, oh yeah, maybe we do want to stop this. And I have heard that it's happening on platforms where they're not completely penalizing or banning that kind of content, but that they are deprioritizing it. So,
Mm.
it's not showing up on explore pages as much or for you pages as much, but, TBD. I think it's easy to say that and then not really know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I can talk to you forever about this. But as we wrap this conversation up, one last thing I do want to ask you, because this idea of trust, right? I don't know if you've heard it in the circles of, like, it sounds like you're in a lot of masterminds and stuff like that. This idea of like trust recession that's happening right now. So, in you being a online course creator with the Copy Posse and all that, what are you seeing as what's happening right now with online courses? Like, what do you think is the future of online courses, and where are you positioning your own brand here in
Yeah.
2026? Is there anything you're changing or doing differently?
Yeah. Great question. I know there's, a lot of talk of our course is dead. And anytime
Mhm.
anyone says anything is dead, I kind of roll my eyes because I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in this industry now for 20 years, almost 20 years, 10 years behind the scenes and, you know, nearly 10 years in front of the camera and building my own brand. And the thing I've realized is nothing ever really dies. I mean, before courses, people called it offers. Like you would go to a marketing event and people would be like, "What's your offer?" It was
Mhm.
never like, "What's your course?"
Mhm.
And then people like Amy Porterfield really popularized the term course. And then people said blogs are dead, but you're like, "What's Substack?" And then people said teleseminars are dead, but you're like, "What's a podcast?" Like,
Mm.
there's always going to be people who need and want to consume information, whether it's video, whether it's audio, whether it's paying to learn a specific skill or to solve a problem. I think what's massively changing is just the quality of the experience that you provide. People are no longer buying information, they're buying transformation. And if your course offers nothing but information that someone could just go ask ChatGPT and get 80 to 90% of the way there, that's what they're going to do. It's free, it's open source, it's available to everyone. Um, and I think that that's the conversation that really is being had is it's not courses are dead. Courses are still incredibly valuable. I think we need to look at what we're providing as information. So for me, I think information is now dirt cheap. Like people can learn anything. I mean, you look at YouTube and I say this all the time to people. I'm like, "You guys, if you're really serious about learning this skill and you aren't able to afford my paid programs, you can learn this through my YouTube channel." But courses are meant to be the fast track. They're like, "Hey, I've put together all these resources in a step-by-step formula. I'm going to hold your hand through it. I'm going to keep you accountable and to make sure you get results." Uh, but insights are valuable. So when I say insights, I mean, what do you bring to the table that no one could ever get from ChatGPT? I look at my 20-year experience in marketing and I'm like, I know a hell of a lot more than ChatGPT is going to gather from scanning the internet and collating and generating a bunch of sort of random information. And I constantly look at that. I also look at other things that people will pay for that isn't information, right? They'll pay for time savings. They'll pay for access. It's part of why I include, the A-list opportunity or the internship opportunity with the launch pad. Like ChatGPT isn't going to give you a client. But guess what? I've used my reputation. I've scoured the internet. I've found businesses who are looking for copywriters and I can give you access to them. Like, show me an AI tool that can do that. And so I think as course creators, it's really important about just looking at the transformation that we want to provide and figuring out how to do it. And in a lot of cases, it actually means like stripping back a lot of the fluff. In marketing back in the day, there used to be something called the thud factor where you would try to pack so much value into a program. You would be like, and you're going to get this collection of video trainings and that collection of video trainings. Then I'm going to throw in this workbook and then I'm going to throw in this DVD set. And like, literally, it was like, I want to give the thud factor so people think I'm getting $40,000 worth of value and I'm only paying $27 for it. Like, that's crazy, right? Now, I'm looking at all of my offers and I'm thinking, where can I actually save my audience time versus having them spend more of their time? And so a lot of my old offers used to include like 90-minute training sessions and like so much content. And I looked at it and I was like, that's a really good piece of training, but that's not going to help them get to the end result faster. It's just going to give them 90 more minutes of things they have to do that they think they need to do in order to get results and they don't. So I'm just revamping all of my offers to make sure that it's like the fast track, just what you need, meat and potatoes with all of the things that I know I can provide that AI can't. And I think that's what we need to kind of look at moving forward when it comes to courses.
Yeah. So in your own like Copy Posse, is that involved like more? Are you involved in all as far as like coaching with people or like what is that
At the
involved
higher
with?
level, so I have like a
Mhm.
$10,000 mastermind where I host all the calls, and
Right.
then in my membership and my Launchpad program, I do about one call a month, but I
Mhm.
have a whole coaching team that
Mhm.
supports
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
So live coaching, I think, is still really valuable if it's done in a way that holds people accountable to getting results. And then also, video training, I think is still incredibly valuable. That's how I deliver most of my courses.
Mhm.
But it's kind of everything that's included with that as part of the accountability piece so that people actually take action and get results.
Yeah. Well, Alex, thank you so much. I feel like I can ask you so many more questions. You're such a wealth of knowledge for especially leveraging YouTube for business, which a lot of people in the online space or online coaching and course space just, they're not doing these days. So I think that's
Mhm.
such a fantastic conversation. So for people that don't know who you are, where can they find you?
They can find me on YouTube. It's just my name, Alex Cattoni, or you can check out copyposse.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.